You can get
it
some
was
real
worth it
money.
'cause
You can grind up.
Right, you can get some money.
Yeah.
Now, your ass can't go buy nothing and come up off no block, nowhere. It's probably two hoods in Atlanta that you can just really block serve for real.
Turn something into nothing.
You get what I'm saying? And grind for real. But you can't as a young nigga, you can't grind.
Something cracked, and now people can't pretend they didn't see it. Lines are being drawn in real time, and trust me, not everyone makes it to the next side. A visible divide is forming between growth and outright self-destruction. And listen to this, the energy behind it is loud, tense, and impossible to look away from. If progress is actually the goal, certain dusty mindsets are getting left where they belong. No debates, no nostalgia trips, no excuses. What unfolded with Young Thug, 21 Savage, in the Atlanta scene today put that contrast front and center. You had artists genuinely trying something different, stepping in to protect kids from endless street cycles, pushing growth and guiding people toward better outcomes. That alone made the whole room uncomfortable. But hold up, here's the part nobody can brush past. The loudest backlash didn't come from outsiders looking in. It came from folks who swear they're for the culture, but freeze up anytime change shows up. The second positivity entered the conversation, resistance sprinted right behind it. Meanwhile, 21 Savage reflected on what happened to the streets, and the message wasn't subtle at all. He's looking backwards, questioning what the streets became, and asking where the so-called order disappeared. That moment of reflection alone tells you a shift is happening. People are finally questioning the script instead of recycling the same tired nonsense. Now, let's be honest for a second. The streets were never some fairy tale that suddenly fell off track. There was no golden era to fall from. It's always been chaotic, dangerous, and packed with decisions made without any long-term vision. Pretending there was some honorable system is just rewriting history to feel better. There was never a real moral handbook, no code that truly protected families, kids, or entire communities. Violence, theft, and destruction were baked into it from day one, and nobody ever stepped in hard enough to shut it down.
It's really like an oxymoron. Is that what it's called? Oxymoron, where some shit just don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn, you signing up for some shit to only die or go to jail. Back in the day, you were signing up to shit. Get some money, might die, might go to jail. Yeah. Now you only signing up to die or go to jail.
Back in the day, you gonna get some money before you do one or the other.
Right.
Before you die or go to jail, 9 times 10, you gonna get.
That's the truth folks hate saying out loud. Now listen to this. Here's the part that really messes with your head. A lot of these so-called street rules were invented by teenagers decades ago, yet grown adults still treat them like sacred law today. Sit with that for a second. Full-grown men with real-life responsibilities are moving according to ideas created by kids. That alone, this is wrong. Damage kept happening while excuses kept piling up. So when people ask what happened to the streets, the answer isn't complicated. Nothing happened. This is exactly what it's always looked like. The only difference now is that some artists are finally saying it out loud and choosing a better path. And that's exactly why this moment feels different. Let's keep it real. A lot of people have been moving recklessly for years, and now they're mad the spotlight is finally on them. The outrage is loud, but it's not intelligent. When 21 Savage dropped What Happened to the Streets, the reaction spoke louder than the music ever could. The album didn't land how people expected, and instead of clearly breaking down why the street mindset needs to die, it felt more like confusion, with more questions than hard lines. That left plenty of listeners unimpressed and wondering what the actual message was. So instead of letting it fade, 21 Savage pushed the conversation further. He stepped beyond the music and made his position crystal clear through public commentary. The tone changed immediately. No nostalgia, no romanticizing, just a straight rejection of street codes and the damage they cause. That's when things really started heating up. 21 Savage openly told Young Thug it was time to forgive Gunna and move forward. This wasn't about gossip. It went way deeper than that. He made it clear that clinging to street rules only creates pain, trauma, and endless cycles that never pay off. The message was direct. Forget outdated rules. Forget loyalty tests. Forget punishing people for surviving. The real call was to live like normal people, not character stuck in a street script that only ends one way.
The cons still outweighed the pros back then too. That's what I'm saying. Now I'm saying it ain't no pros. It's nothing but cons. Back then it was like, all right, it's some pros to this shit, but the cons is kind of higher though, because if they catch your ass, they gonna do it to you. But goddamn now, there's no pros at all. You're literally getting in the street to die or go to jail.
21 Savage tagged both Gunna and Young Thug and said what most people are scared to say out loud. He reminded everyone that Gunna was never built to be some street figure. And let's be real, everybody knew that from day one. None of this was betrayal, this was survival. He doubled down by saying the streets never handed out anything but scars and stress. No growth, no peace, no real wins. And telling people to keep respecting those rules just keeps the damage circulating. That position triggered heavy backlash. People completely lost it at the idea of forgiving what the streets label as the ultimate violation. For a lot of people, that rule is sacred, even when it's clearly ruining lives. But hold up, this is where things get tricky. Some of what was said actually made sense. The issue isn't the message, it's the messenger. There's always friction when former street figures try to step into the role of community leaders. Advocacy comes with influence, credibility, and real power. And in most communities, a violent past doesn't automatically qualify you for that position. Yet somehow, in this space, once fame walks in, history gets quietly pushed to the side. That contradiction is exactly why this debate stays on fire. The words might land, but the accountability questions are still wide open. Now listen closely, because this is where the line gets really clear. Wanting to change your life is one thing, but wanting applause and the spotlight as a so-called spokesperson is something else entirely. You don't get to do damage for years and then suddenly speak for everyone like nothing happened. That logic doesn't hold up. If you spent years hurting your own community, you don't automatically get to represent it later on. Growth matters. Accountability matters more. Sometimes the smartest move is stepping back instead of stepping up. Let the people who weren't part of the harm take the lead. That said, some of the messaging coming out right now genuinely matters. 21 Savage saying the quiet part out loud created a ripple, and it moved fast. Once one major voice spoke, others followed, and the online tone shifted into something more serious and more urgent. Young Thug publicly rejected the street mindset and tagged 21 Savage, making it clear he was standing with the message. That alone grabbed everyone's attention. Then G Herbo stepped in with his own statement, flat out rejecting the streets. Ye F and Lil Durk followed that move, openly separating themselves from that life and tagging 21 Savage. Pooh Shiesty spoke up too, calling the streets traumatizing and making it clear he was finished with that cycle. This wasn't random at all. You had artists from Memphis, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, different cities and different sounds, all landing on the same conclusion. The message was simple, but heavy at the same time. Too many kids are dying. Too many communities are stuck. Whatever this lifestyle has been sold as, it's clearly not the answer. Nobody claimed to have everything figured out, but one thing stood out. The way things have always been done isn't working. When influential voices finally line up on that point, it feels like a rare moment of unity. And just as it seemed like that unity might actually last, the pushback arrived. One region stayed noticeably silent when it came to rejecting the streets, and not just silent, but openly aggressive toward the idea of change. Instead of backing a movement to save lives, some people jumped online to defend the very mindset being challenged. The energy wasn't about protecting kids or communities, it was about holding on to an image. That reaction stood out immediately. While others were talking about stopping violence and breaking cycles, the focus shifted to defending chaos as if it were a culture. Now, one person people gave a little grace to was Blueface. He had just gotten out of jail, so expectations were already low. Even so, he openly said he wasn't rocking with rejecting the streets, and that contrast right there is what made this whole moment blow up. Some artists chose growth, while others chose comfort, and the distance between those choices has never sounded louder. The pushback got loud fast. Certain voices jumped straight into defense mode, clinging to street identity like it was sacred law. Posts started popping up with that same energy, demand and respect for gang culture, and mocking the idea of slowing the violence. The message couldn't have been clearer. No reflection, no pause, just pride and chaos. Blueface doubled down on that position too. He kept repeating how much he loved the streets, brushing off the larger conversation completely. Now, to be fair, he had just come home from jail, so expectations were already low. Being fresh out can leave someone mentally locked in survival mode. Still, it was disappointing to see no growth, no awareness, no pause whatsoever. Meanwhile, fans started pressing West Coast rappers and public figures to finally speak up for something positive. People started tagging artists directly, asking them to stand for saving lives instead of defending destruction. Some even pointed out that Kendrick Lamar's work, especially Watch the Party Die, already spoke on this exact issue. The message wasn't new, it was just being said louder this time. That's when Kendrick Lamar's cousin, Baby Keem, stepped into the conversation. He referenced the idea of the party dying and made it clear that what's happening right now is tied directly to the streets. That moment mattered because it showed the message was personal, not just performative. But then things shifted. Instead of fully backing the movement, he pivoted into a save the streets angle. That might sound harmless, but it completely missed the point. It's the same move people use to dodge real conversations, changing the framing instead of facing the problem. When people say "for the streets," they're not talking about poor neighborhoods or everyday people. They're talking about gang violence, mass incarceration, kids caught in crossfire, and communities stuck in crime loops. That distinction matters. Most people living in the hood are regular people. They work long hours, raise families, and stay out of trouble. They're not committing crimes or glorifying violence. The hood and the streets are not the same thing. Blurring that line only protects the damage. It's a small group causing the harm, but they make life harder for everyone else. And pretending that's what's needed saving is backwards. The goal is not to protect destruction, it's to protect lives. What made this whole situation even more unsettling was the timing. Right when hip-hop looked like it might finally be serious about change, one region kept pushing back. That pattern didn't go unnoticed. People started connecting dots. Every major fracture in hip-hop history brings up the same uncomfortable questions. When Tupac was killed, the culture shifted permanently. When Biggie died, the industry fell into a deep slump. When New York struggled to find its next star and Pop Smoke finally broke through, he was taken too. Now, hip-hop is staring at another low point, losing ground, losing influence, losing direction. And once again, people are asking who benefits when chaos wins. At some point, coincidence stops being a coincidence. That's why this moment feels heavier than just online arguments. It feels like a crossroads. Look at the state of hip-hop right now. The culture is split right down the middle, and everyone feels it. Fan wars turned into a real division. Collaborations slowed down, and albums don't move as they used to because people are busy choosing sides instead of supporting music. Instead of unity, it's non-stop infighting. Instead of momentum, it's boycotts and online battles. The result is obvious. Hip-hop lost its edge, its focus, and a lot of its influence. And every time there's a moment where things could improve, something drags it off course. Every time progress feels close, conflict shows up right on schedule. That's why so many people are questioning whether certain cultural habits need to be left behind. Not regions, not people, habits, cycles that repeat and never lead anywhere good. The truth is, a lot of artists see the writing on the wall. The audience is exhausted, and the streets don't inspire the same loyalty they once did. People are craving peace, growth, and stability, not non-stop chaos. That's where the real contrast shows up. Some artists read the room and adapt fast. Others take change like a personal insult. But let's be clear, the shift is happening with or without their approval. Young Thug caught on to that early. He recognized that the energy around street loyalty was fading, and people were fed up. This was never about asking permission. It was about deciding whether to evolve or stay stuck. During his big bank interview, he said something that made it click for a lot of people. He made it clear that the whole snitching conversation was never really about the streets in the first place. He openly called the street mindset foolish and outdated. That's when the language changed. Instead of defending street codes, he reframed it as a man code. That wasn't random. That showed awareness. It showed an understanding that accountability, responsibility, and survival matter more than dusty rules from the past. That moment signaled something bigger. Artists weren't just reacting anymore. They were adjusting their mindset to match where the people actually are. And that's the real turning point. Hip-hop doesn't collapse overnight. It shifts when people stop listening, stop relating, and stop believing in what's being pushed. Right now, the message is loud and clear. The audience wants growth, not nostalgia for destruction. The real question is, who's actually going to stand on it? Who's going to follow through instead of just talking? Who's ready to move with the change instead of fighting it? If you're rocking with this breakdown, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. More stories are unfolding, and this conversation is far from finished. And don't go anywhere. Check out the next video popping up on your screen right now for more celebrity drama and real talk. I'll catch you on the next